It's now time for your favorite in-depth basketball show with the myths, the legends, Nardog, and Raindrops Goulet!
You're listening to Full Court Press with myself, Justin Raindrops Goulet, and of course I am joined as always by the one and only Nardog, David Bernardi. How's it going, brother?
It's going good, sir. How are you?
Quite well, thank you. Now, this past weekend, of course, was the Victoria Day long weekend here in Canada. What did you get up to? What did you do over the 3-day long weekend?
I played basketball a couple times.
Nice, yeah, same here. It's nice to get back on the court. It's always a great feeling.
Yep. Shout out to Heritage Glen.
There you go. I guess that's where you guys play ball.
Yes, in Oakville.
Nice. Yeah, I go down to Forester Park off of Kerr Street in Oakville. It's great because they actually have the light set up, so we could play till the dark hours of the night. We got the light set up. It's awesome.
Oh, we play during the day.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, we usually like to play during the evenings and then just stay as late as we can. No one's really there. It's basically our own court. It's absolutely awesome. It's surrounded by a cage. It's almost like we're playing at Oakville's Rucker Park. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, so, what would you say is your strength when you play?
Well, ever since I was a kid, my biggest asset when it comes to basketball has been shooting. I modeled a lot of my game when I was growing up, and still to this day after, Chris Bosh and Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk Nowitzki was the first big influence for me. So I've always been the taller guy who'd always shoot the threes. So I've gotten really strong when it comes to shooting. I'm also pretty good at crashing the offensive boards, if I do say so myself. But I like to keep a well-rounded game, but I'd say my shooting is definitely my best asset. What about you?
I'd say my best asset is being the Heritage Glen commissioner.
So nothing on the actual court game itself, the business side.
Let's just say my skills are subpar when it comes to basketball. I do have my moments, but my biggest strength is getting everyone to show up.
You're basically the Mark Cuban of the group. You get things done.
Sometimes it just gets out of hand, though. You text too many people and 15, 20 people show up, and it's not that much fun. It's
just madness. I know that happened to us last summer, actually. It was just going to be the normal group of guys that I play with, and then at the end of the night, there was like 30 people there, and it's just not enjoyable because you don't get to play as much as you would if it's just you and your regular buddies. But that's just the way it goes sometimes. I'm lucky because I don't have to organize anything. I'm usually just the one, hey, Justin, do you want to come play basketball? It's yes, for sure. I'm down to come play ball.
If I would have to compare myself to anyone in the NBA, it would be Robert Horry.
Robert Horry?
Oh, yeah, because he's known for making those big shots, and not recently, but I don't know, a few years ago, I was just known for making all those game winners out there at Heritage.
You were just that one guy, you miss like you go
you
go 1 for 10, and then
exactly.
that one shot is the game winner.
Yeah, it still happens from time to time these days, but I don't really get those game winners. Everyone's found me out.
Nothing wrong with that. What I love especially about playing like street ball with the guys is just going, this doesn't just go for street ball, it goes for regular basketball, like indoor organized league basketball. But when your team's down and you just get that adrenaline going, and sometimes I just hit, it sounds, I don't want to brag or anything, but I just hit some of the craziest shots, and my friends are like, how do you, well, you know that you've played basketball with me.
I'm known for having those, what my friends call is the Bernardi shot.
The Bernardi shot?
I just throw up random shots. Sometimes they go in.
Sometimes they go in, sometimes they don't. A lot of people just ask, they would ask me, how do you make these shots? I don't really have an answer. Like I was saying earlier, my best asset and what I've worked my whole life on is my shooting, just to get that strong stroke. So I do what I can, try to get the ball in the net, really. I do like to drive in. I like to pull off the Chris Bosh move where you just you drive into the lane, you fake it up, the defender takes the pump fake, then you duck under them and lay it in. I love pulling that move off.
Well, have you ever pulled off the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar skyhook from the 3-point line?
Not in a game, but when we've just been shooting around, yeah, man. Not just once or twice. I've hit that shot a couple of times. Just saying. I pride myself in my shooting. I like to consider myself a strong shooter.
Yeah. I've played, I think, 5 times so far in the past, month.
Oh, yeah?
And on Saturday, I had my best game.
Oh, nice. So that's more often than I've been playing, because this weekend I played three days in a row. My feet are still in pain, but it's a good kind of pain because I love playing basketball. But that was the start of the summer season for me. So you've played more than I have this year so far.
Yeah, on Saturday, we play up to 21, and at half we switch at 11. And I scored 7 points,
Well, there you go. Lucky number 7.
3 rebounds, and 3 steals.
Obviously, we played a lot of basketball this weekend, but let's get to the NBA talk at this moment. NBA playoffs, we're in the Eastern and Western Conference Finals. We got out in the West, Spurs, Thunder. Out in the East, Pacers, Heat. What do you think of the conference finals thus far?
Conference finals, the Heat and Pacers series, I was pretty surprised.
Oh, yeah?
I did not expect the Pacers to blow them out like that.
Yeah, in Game 1, I watched Game 1 in its entirety, and the Heat just looked lost. I thought the Heat were kind of just biding their time, and they were going to come back big in the fourth quarter and close it out, but they didn't. The Pacers were the better team in Game 1.
Yeah, but as we know and everyone knows, LeBron's going to show up Game 2.
Oh, for sure. And even if they were to lose Game 2, depending on, whenever you're listening to this episode of Full Court Press, with the standings might be a little bit different in that series, but we're talking about Game 2 as now it hasn't happened yet. But if LeBron James steps up, for sure they've got Game 2. But even if the Heat lose Game 2, I think once they go back to Miami, they just pick up 2 wins, tie it up, just split the series, I guess.
Yeah, I think at the end of it, Heat are taking it 6 or 7, but
I don't even know if it's going to go to 7. My prediction is Heat in 6.
really?
Yeah, Heat in 6.
Huh?
I know it's the Pacers. You actually mentioned this to me, I think, or it might have been somebody else brought this up to me, but it seems like the Pacers are just waiting to play the Heat because they really stepped it up in Game 1. I still think that the Heat
that is a possibility.
You never know what could happen, right? It is the NBA. It's crazy. And I think, especially in Game 1, the scoring was way more balanced on the Pacers end than it was on the Miami end. Because Miami, there was only Chris Anderson, Ray Allen, Dwayne Wade, and LeBron scored in double figures.
Yeah, Chris Anderson?
Chris Anderson had 14 points.
14
points.
Oh, boy.
I haven't seen Chris Anderson score 14 points in years.
I don't know. If he's one of your leading scorers, you have a problem.
Exactly. No offense to him, but Chris Bosh only had 9 points in Game 1. Bosh should be putting up at least 16 points a game.
9 points. Ouch.
9 points. It's weak. I know. Very weak.
Come on, CB1.
CB1. Remember when he was CB4? I miss the good old days of CB4. I miss Chris Bosh with his dreadlocks.
I don't miss him at all.
You don't miss Bosh? We've discussed this before. I still like Chris Bosh. I still respect him as a player. Like I said, when I play basketball with my buddies, I like to pull off the Chris Bosh, pump fake and duck under. I love pulling off that move. I still support Chris Bosh. I'm happy he's a 2-time NBA champion.
Yeah, you do.
I do. Yeah, I do.
You do.
Yeah, I do. But as I said, the Heat, I think they have this series. I think they're going to the NBA Finals for would that be the 3rd straight year?
4th
Straight. That's true because the first season with the Big 3 they faced off against the Dallas Mavericks.
Yep, that was just a warm up.
Yeah, and then years of domination. I wouldn't be surprised if the Heat pull off a three-peat, but I think if the Spurs make it to the NBA Finals, the Spurs are a bigger threat this season than they were last year, in my opinion.
What are your predictions for San Antonio and Oklahoma City?
That one's tough for me, because I'm so set in the Eastern Conference. I'm so set on the Heat moving on, but in the Western Conference, I don't know. I think the Spurs have a huge advantage because Serge Ibaka's injured.
That's a huge loss.
That's a massive loss for the OKC Thunder because the Thunder right now they just have Kevin Durant and Westbrook.
It's all about Steven Adams.
How about
He's got to play like Hakeem Olajuwon or.
He's got to really step it up. Adams Nation. He's got to step up.
I get so confused when Collison and Adams are on the floor. They're twins.
They do look very similar. When Steven Adams came into the league, I was like, wait a second. Doesn't Nick Collison already play in the NBA?
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, Spurs, with the momentum they've got the GM, the executive of the year, they've got the coach of the year. Tim Duncan continues to play like he's 20 years old. Tim Duncan's just one of the greatest players of all time. Tony Parker, you see Tony Parker, he played in Game 1. A lot of people thought he wouldn't be able to play, but he played in Game 1. You got Ginobili still firing on all cylinders. Kawhi Leonard is a rising star. They've got a great roster, great depth. I think at the end of the day, the San Antonio Spurs are going to the NBA Finals. We're going to get a rematch of last year's NBA Finals.
Yeah, same with me. Not enough luck for them again this year. Last year they lost Westbrook.
Yeah.
And this year, Ibaka.
I know Ibaka is just like you said, it's a huge loss.
Yeah, I got the Spurs in 6.
I think
possibly 5.
I can't really predict how many games the Spurs are going to win it in. I know the Spurs, my prediction is that they're going to the NBA Finals, and as I said, we're going to have a rematch of last year's championship round. Of course, Charles Barkley made those comments about San Antonio women being larger figures, and it's very controversial. It stirred up a lot of anger from the women of San Antonio. Tim Duncan's girlfriend actually had an interesting response. What did she do to kind of lash back at Charles Barkley?
Well, TNT showed her on camera.
Yeah.
With her wearing a Barkley Don't Know shirt.
Barkley Don't Know.
About them San Antonio women. And if just Google her. Her name is...
her name is Vanessa Macias, or Macias. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that properly. Vanessa Macias.
Yeah, just Google her and you'll know that San Antonio women aren't big old ladies.
You'll know that Charles Barkley was incorrect in his statement because... As you said, she should play for the Rockets because Vanessa Macias certainly is a Rocket.
An absolute rocket.
Bang.
Bang on.
Bang on, as Matt Devlin would say. So it was kind of cool to see her throw back at Charles Barkley, get a little funny redemption. I could see one of our buddies, Andrew Ueno's mocking. He's doing the Charles Barkley churro eating hand gestures. That's fantastic.
Now switching it up to the NBA lottery.
NBA lottery. As we sit here in the studio, the NBA lottery takes place tonight. It is Tuesday, May 20th. That's when the NBA lottery is going down. Who do you think's going to get the first pick in this year's draft?
I'm going to have to go with Philadelphia 76ers.
You 76ers? I wouldn't mind that. I still love the 76ers because, as I've mentioned this on Full Court Press before, you actually joined me on the show. Allen Iverson is probably one of my favorites, if not my all-time favorite player. 76er, that was his best run with Philadelphia. I still love the 76ers. I know they struggled this year. They went 19-63. Very rough year for them. But I'm hoping that if they get the first pick, that just means a bright future ahead of them.
Yeah, I see Sixers get the first pick, Milwaukee second, and the Celtics will get the third. They'll jump up 2 spots.
That's interesting. Why do you say that the Celtics would jump up?
I just have this gut feeling,
Yeah, just one of those that spidey sense you got tingling.
And yeah, the NBA won't rig it. Lakers aren't getting the first pick.
Oh man, yeah, the Lakers definitely
just imagine that.
That would
imagine Lakers Celtics 1-2.
This is the first season that the Lakers, Celtics, and Knicks haven't made all 3 teams haven't made the playoffs, if not at least 2, something like that. So it's a very interesting situation. I don't think the Lakers are going to get the first pick. I think it's going to be either Philadelphia or Milwaukee. With Philadelphia, I think has the edge in this one, though.
So now there's Kevin Love rumors.
There are Kevin Love rumors, yeah, shying away from the NBA draft. Talk about
he informed the Timberwolves that he will not re-sign. So Justin, where do you think he's heading?
I think you brought this up, and you mentioned them earlier in the NBA draft lottery talk. Is Boston Celtics. I think Kevin Love would I could see him fitting very nicely with the Celtics. You include him in a trade package deal. You get a guy like Kelly Olynyk, Jared Sullinger, and a draft pick for Kevin Love. Kevin Love goes over to the Celtics. I think that's fair.
Him and Rondo, it's a great combo.
I think so. That'd be fantastic. And hopefully, if Kevin Love were to go to Boston, it would be a slight rejuvenation. Because I like the Celtics. I know they're an Atlantic Division rival, but they're one of the teams that I actually don't mind in the Atlantic Division. So I would not be against seeing them succeed for sure. Because I've always been a Celtics fan.
Yeah, and it's, about Kevin Love, it's gonna be really hard to trade him because the team's gonna want to re-sign him, and that's the thing. Will he want to?
Because the thing is, he's been in Minnesota for so long, but he's got Ricky Rubio by his side. Well, this is actually something interesting. Ricky Rubio, one of my other friends, he told me this over the weekend. Rubio said that, not word for word, I'm not directly quoting Mr. Rubio, but he said that Kevin Love should not be the one to lead the Timberwolves.
Yeah, that he lacks leadership.
Yeah. So maybe that's going to be a factor. You got your point guard, your leading point guard, saying that you're not a good fit to lead the team. It's like, hey, I'm taking offense to that. If you don't think I'm a good leader, you take over this team. I'm going to go somewhere else. For example, Boston.
Yeah, I ultimately think he's going to end up with the LA Lakers.
Oh yeah, that's another team that's been rumored for him to join, of course.
Yeah, it's always been like the number 1 team just because the UCLA connection.
Of course.
There's also Tristan Thompson, who the Cleveland Cavaliers, they're looking to trade him this offseason.
Yeah, Tristan Thompson, Canadian boy from Brampton.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. If would you want him on the Raptors? And who would you trade?
Oh, that's tough because if he joined the Raptors, he would have to play alongside Jonas Valanciunas, of course. He would basically be replacing Amir Johnson.
Yeah, that would probably be the trade, Amir Johnson.
Amir Johnson for Tristan Thompson. Johnson for Thompson. Fun rhyme right there.
Hilarious.
Thank you, sir. I don't really want to see Amir go. Amir Johnson, he's got so much heart. He's got a lot. There are things he needs to work on as far as his game is concerned, but I think he's just such an important and integral part to the Toronto Raptors roster. I wouldn't really want to get rid of him. I like Tristan Thompson.
Yeah, Tristan Thompson. He's been their most consistent player last year.
Oh yeah,
or this season. I mean,
yeah. Don't get me wrong. I have nothing against Tristan Thompson, but if say that's the most likely scenario, trade Amir Johnson for Tristan Thompson. I wouldn't really want to see that. Maybe if we were to say, this is kind of crazy, but say we traded Terrence Ross for Tristan Thompson. I know that leaves that small forward shooting guard area open.
I would do this right here in a second.
Yeah, because Terrence Ross, he's got a lot to work on. He struggled a lot in the playoffs. And one problem that I had with Dwayne Casey's coaching in the first round against the Brooklyn Nets is that he left Terrence Ross on the court way too long. I'm all about developing your players, but the playoffs aren't the time to do that. If Terrence Ross is struggling, you sit him on the bench and you put someone like John Solomons or Landry Fields in because they have the experience.
Or Nando De Colo.
Nando De Colo, he didn't play a lot for the Raptors, but he's got the experience with the Spurs. He's a good player. But Terrence Ross, he's a young guy. You look at someone like Jonas. Jonas played very well in the playoffs, but Ross struggled the entire series.
If Cleveland offers Tristan Thompson for Terrence Ross, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
I take it because you know what? You could always try to move. You could have Amir Johnson come off the bench or Thompson come off the bench. Sign another small forward to fill out Ross's spot. Or just as an experiment, what do you think about this? You try Amir Johnson at small forward. Because you're
out of mind. You're out of your mind.
You think I'm out of my mind? Well, he's always been undersized for a power forward, but
he doesn't have the quickness.
No, that's fair enough. Well, we'll just wait a couple years until Kevin Durant can come fill out that small forward spot.
So I was watching ABC Sunday morning, the Heat Pacers game, and I saw Mark Jackson.
Mark Jackson
at the commentator booth.
Yeah, he's back to analyzing. I think that's the natural role for him. He tried his hand at coaching things. The Warriors.
He did not do bad.
No, he didn't. The Warriors had a great record, finished very strong. It was a very, very positive showing in the postseason.
They improved every single season he coached.
Oh, for sure, they did. He did a great job coaching, but they offer him this very large contract to join ESPN and be an analyst. Why not take it, right? Because there's no one's gonna fire him.
Yeah, I don't like his commentary at all.
No, you don't like him as an analyst?
Yeah, you just hear stuff like "Mama goes that man" or something like that. It's just
something straight out of NBA Jam.
I personally don't know how he got a coaching job in the first place after listening to him at ESPN, ABC all those years. I don't know. He didn't sound that great being a coach.
Well, we'll see how things go back to, now that he's in the broadcasting booth, and maybe in a couple years he'll go back to coaching. Well, it'll be interesting to follow Mark Jackson.
I pray he goes back to coaching.
Yeah, what team do you think he'd be a good fit for?
I thought he would be a good fit for New York, just because of his connections playing with them.
Oh, of course.
And he is from that area.
Exactly, so he has that hometown connection as well.
Phil Jackson just wasn't down.
No, the Zen Master did not agree with that whatsoever, I guess. Oh, well. Something I want to move on. Oh, well. Just leave it at that. Mark Jackson. Something I really want to talk about. This is huge. This is a big topic for today. Charlotte Hornets are officially unveiled. The Charlotte Hornets it's happening. It's a thing now. It's real. There's a new website. The team is now the Charlotte Hornets. I'm excited for this. I know you're a big Hornets fan.
Yeah, back in the day, Alonzo Mourning, Larry Johnson, Muggsy Bogues, Del Curry.
Even
Glenn Rice.
Glenn Rice was a great player.
Oh, yeah. No, Jamal Mashburn, Vlade Divac, you can go on.
Jamal Mashburn. I miss Jamal Mashburn. That guy was awesome.
David Wesley,
yeah. Oh my God, David Wesley. I'm just getting all these flashbacks when I used to play NBA 2K2 and like all these old NBA games and play as the Hornets. All these players that are popping into my head. That's hilarious.
Yeah, and the Charlotte Hornets, they'll be keeping all their staffs from 1988 to 2002.
Yeah, that's something you mentioned to me before we sat down to record. That's like, what do you mean by that?
every single stat like record from back then
Yeah.
they'll be keeping, and the Pelicans will just be starting off. The New Orleans Pelicans will just be starting off their own history.
Okay, so it's almost like say Anthony Davis scores 50 points. That's the franchise record for points for New Orleans Pelicans.
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of cool. I like that.
And
I like that you
they'll-
keep that history alive.
And they'll be keeping the Charlotte Bobcats from 2004 to 2014, all their records and stats.
Okay,
So-
that's part of the Charlotte
Yeah.
Hornets lineage at this time.
It wasn't that great of a
No,
history.
not really. I'm actually surprised. I didn't realize the Bobcats were around for 10 years because
Yeah,
the time
it's-
went by so fast. You know, obviously I was watching basketball. I was into basketball when the Bobcats were unleashed upon the world, but
Omeka Okafor,
oh man, Emeka Okafor. Remember when he was relevant?
Ray
No
Felton
Raymond Felton.
before he got fat.
No offense, Ray. No offense, Emeka. We love you guys, but it's the truth.
Yeah, 10 years. That's crazy.
10 years, time really flies when you're having fun, and by having fun I mean when you're a struggling franchise in Charlotte. Well, one thing to wrap before we wrap up this episode of Full Court Press, you suggested doing this. I'm totally down to talk about this. Our favorite NBA jerseys.
Yeah, I'd say mine is the Charlotte Hornets.
Speaking of Charlotte Hornets, yeah, they're back, so it's all keeping it all together. I like it.
I'm hoping they go back to the original jerseys, the
Oh, yeah?
stripes,
Yeah, I know you're a big fan of those.
the turquoise.
My favorite, I gotta go local. The Toronto Raptors jerseys with the actual raptor on the jersey itself. That it's just so cool, and those are the uniforms that the team's bringing back for next season.
Yeah, it's surprising that a lot of fans don't like that jersey. I don't understand.
I think it's ridiculous if you don't like it because it's one of the coolest jerseys in any sport, in like sports history. It's absolutely awesome. I love it.
Another jersey that I've always loved is the Pacers striped black and yellow.
Oh yeah, like Reggie Miller days.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a nice jersey too. I like the Seattle Supersonics jerseys. Back, Kevin Durant's first season in the NBA before they moved to OKC. Those are really, really nice jerseys.
I like the Seattle Supersonics jersey that they wore in '96.
Oh, where it was like a swoop and it said Sonic on it?
Yeah, and it was darker green.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Sean Kemp.
Yeah, that's back when Brent Barry
Brent Barry, Sean Kemp.
was hitting them threes with the Sonics.
Oh, man, Brent Barry. He was a great player. Great player back in the day. But with that said, I think we covered it all. We covered it all, Nard Dog.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did. You got Twitter, of course. Let the listeners know where they can follow you.
Well, you can follow me at the Nard Dog 88. That's with 2 G's at the end.
The Nard Dog way, as we like to say.
The Nard Dog Order.
There you go.
The Nard Dog World Order.
There we go, sir. You can, of course, follow me on Twitter at JustSingleA21. And if you guys want to hear past episodes of Full Court Press, if you're interested in doing that, got some great interviews on this show. All the basketball talk you want to hear, hopefully, go to Mixcloud.com and just type in Full Court Press on the search bar, and there you go. You're all set. Of course, we want to thank you all for listening. Nard Dog, any other final words to the listeners?
Just cheers. Have a good time. Have a time.
There we go. Cheers and have a time. I love it. Thank you all so much for listening. Keep on watching basketball. Go outside and play basketball. Keep the movement alive and strong because basketball never starts. Basketball never stops. Basketball is forever. That was Full Court Press. Thank you all so much, and we will catch you all next week.
Laters.
You've just been hit with Full Court Press. Courtesy of the men, the myths, the legends, Nard Dog, and Raindrop.